Hi, welcome to the Pursuit of Truth. I think this is 481, and it's Corruption and Conspiracy is going to be called. Now, I hope I can flip to these things that I'm going to read about. I'm not going to talk about Boris Johnson. I talked about him in the last podcast, and what's interesting is the fact that it's an up-to-date example of corruption and the failure of the system, that the way that the system is, it's always going to have these kind of problems with corruption. And interestingly, I was watching previously Oliver Stone's documentary series, I think it was HBO, JFK Destiny Denied, I think it was something like that, showing how the files that were the Warren Report, the conspiracy, the way they covered bits of information up to try and keep to the narrative that they wanted to. The main thing that I didn't know about was that the person who did the autopsy of JFK had no real experience to be doing that. I mean, and of course that's a very important thing, because the entry and exit wound is very important to the idea of that there only being one shooter, which of course has been a lot of debate. But this documentary by Oliver Stone, I guess moving on from his film JFK, is expanding on that and sort of throwing light to the conspiracy and corruption in the 60s. And of course there's nothing new, because it's happening to these days and it's happened in the past. Go back to the Roman Empire for these things as well. But yeah, this maybe it's not the system, maybe it's just humanity being in control of humanity. It's just never going to work, because I don't know, I can't really, there's no real answers to it anymore. But what I wanted to talk about was there's news stories that have been coming up today. Hopefully I can flip to this one. This is on Sky News 7 hours ago. Scientists fear debate over origin of COVID-19. It just updated itself. Sorry, I have to find it again now. I did take pictures of it. Okay. There we go. Scientists fear debate over origin of COVID could hurt international harmony, reports. Email sent to Dr. Anthony Fauci, the US government's top medical advisor, shows that scientists believe it was likely that COVID accidentally leaked from a laboratory in Wuhan, that's in China. However, experts were concerned that debate on the matter would harm science in China, the Telegraph reports. The email sent by Sir Jeremy Farrar of the Wellcome Trust on the 2nd of February 2020 said it was a likely explanation that coronavirus had evolved from a SARS-like virus inside the human issue inside a laboratory. The note, also sent to Dr. Francis Collins of the US National Institute of Health, added that the virus may have been accidentally created and primed for rapid transmission between humans. Where's the rest of it? However, Sir Jeremy was then told that further debate would do unnecessary harm to science in general and science in China in particular. Dr. Collins said it could impact international harmony if discussed further, according to the newspaper. COVID-19 first emerged in Wuhan, China in late 2019, with great debate since emerging about the origin of the virus. In another email sent in April 2020, seen by the New York Post, Dr. Fauci dismissed the theory that the virus emerged from a laboratory in China, calling it a shiny object that will go away. Of course, maybe the reason why they didn't want to talk about it is in this other story that I've read previously, and let's see if I can load it up, which was on BBC News on the 23rd of July 2021 and updated on the 2nd of August 2021. It says coronavirus was US money used to fund risky research in China by reality check team BBC News. I hope this is the real, let's check the link there. Is actually BBC. Let's hope this is genuine what I'm reading out. As the debate continues over the origin of the coronavirus, a heated political battle is taking place over the virus research carried out in China using US funds. It is linked to the unproven theory that the virus could have leaked from a lab in Wuhan, the Chinese city where it was first detected. A report released by the Republican lawmakers cites ample evidence that the lab was working to modify the coronaviruses to infect humans and calls for a bipartisan investigation into its origins. Republican Senator Rand Paul also alleges that US money was used to fund research there that made some viruses more infectious and more deadly, a process known as gain of function. But this has been firmly rejected by Dr. Anthony Fauci, the US infectious disease chief. Let's move on to did the US fund research in China? Yes, it did contribute some funds. Dr. Fauci, as well as being an advisor to President Biden, is the director of the US National Institute of Allergy and Infectious Diseases, NIAID, part of the US government's National Institute of Health, NIH. This body did give money to an organisation that collaborated with the Wuhan Institute of Virology. That organisation, the US-based Eco Health Alliance, was awarded a grant in 2014 to look into possible coronaviruses from bats. EcoHealth received $3.7 million from the NIH, $600,000 of which was given to the Wuhan Institute of Virology. In 2019, its project was renewed for another 5 years, but then pulled by the Trump administration in April 2020 following the outbreak of the coronavirus pandemic. So there you go. Interesting. Because I'd read that one before, but of course, when they poo-pooed the idea of it ever coming from this laboratory, didn't seem significant. But now that they're saying that, well, they didn't really want to talk about it because they didn't want to harm science in China, which I don't think anyone in the US would care about harming science in China. I think it's more likely that they don't want the links between the money chain of that went from America to China to the same city where it's claimed that where it began. Very suspicious, but maybe it's just a coincidence. But maybe we're going to hear more on this in the future. But I thought I should detail it. So, who do we know who to trust? When you watch this JFK Oliver Stone's documentary, you see even the president wasn't in control of the country. He's complaining that the CIA was so powerful, and it does, buy into the idea that people have sometimes of like a world order of some secret echelon that's really in control. But maybe it's just the CIA and people like that are, if they're so more powerful than President Kennedy at that time. And of course, President Kennedy was someone who didn't really, by what he said and what he did at the beginning, didn't really want to keep these kind of secret organizations going. If you had presidents that didn't care about it and worked with it, like the likes of, say, Bush and etc., and maybe Biden, then of course, or Trump, then it is easy for them to just do whatever they're doing, because as long as the president's on side or not trying to stop them, then they're free to do whatever. But I guess that version's conspiracy. The other thing I wanted to read out was about the scandal. It was on Sky News as well. Let's see if I can find it. Oh, did I take a picture of it? Was it Sky? Must have put somewhere. I can't even pause this one. Waffling on. And it was about the grants that were given by VIP. So here we have COVID-19. 10 Conservative MPs and peers referred companies to VIP, laying that 1.6 billion of PPE contracts. I mean, there was a Sky News story, because what recently happened that sparked my interest in this was that they've come to the conclusion. Where is it? That the government did break the law when they set up this here. COVID VIP lane used by government to hand out PPE contracts to two companies during first coronavirus wave was unlawful, High Court rules. It's on Sky News Wednesday, 12 January 2022. The government used a so-called VIP lane to award PPE contracts to two companies during the first COVID wave was unlawful. The High Court has ruled. Blah 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 blah. They took the judgment adds to the pressure. Blah 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 blah. Let's try and find here. The High Court was told the VIP lane for PPE contracts was reserved for referrals from MPs, ministers and senior officials, as the Department of Health under the Health Secretary Matt Hancock had prioritised suppliers including Pestfix and Ayanda because of who they knew, not what they could deliver. The department contested the claim, telling the court it wholeheartedly rejected the case against it and that the VIP lane was irrational and resulted in a large number of credible offers. Okay, blah, 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 blah. And when there's this story from the VOJ, which I just read, that was COVID-19 10% of MPs and peers referred companies to VIP lane that won 1.6 billion PPE contracts. This is 17th of November 2021. And it's got some details of who, like this one here. Michael Gove referred Mellor Designs, the firm of Conservative donor David Mellor, who used to be an MP, to the VOP lane. The company was awarded 6 PPE contracts worth 16.4 million. When the contracts were awarded, Gove was Minister at the Cabinet Office, which is responsible for government procurement and in charge of the Office of the Chancellor of the Duchy of Lancaster. Mellor donated money both to the Conservative Party and to support Gove's party leadership bid in 2016. I mean, I know this is nothing new to everyone, the brown envelopes and all that kind of stuff, but you just go see how this corruption and conspiracy is happening all the time in lots of different areas. And of course, a lot of this is missed because the media don't make a good deal out of it, or TV media, but press media does a bit more, but most people don't read that anymore, is it? Whereas if this isn't read out on TV, no one's going to take an interest of it. And there was also another one where, according to the document, Lord Agnew, a Cabinet Officer Minister, referred 3 companies to the government high priority list. These include Worldlink Resources, a company advised by the former MP Brooke Newmark that landed a $258 million deal. Obviously, Matt Hancock referred 4 companies: Excalibur Healthcare, JD.com, Monarch Acoustics, and 9 United, the Conservative backbench MP Julian Lurch. And it goes on, of course, one of them was, and his sister worked for one of them or something. Dominic Cummings, and it's got a load of list of different things, but I mean, what it just shows is that if you didn't do all this research, well, some of this is on Sky News and etc., but it is like it's presented to us and we all know it, and we all see it, and we all read it, and then we just carry on. We just think, well, that's part of government, it's part corruption and conspiracy, it's part of it. You know, but I think it's just another, that's why I'm reading it out, it's just another example, you know, when it comes to Boris Johnson pretending that he didn't know he was in a party, and he gets away with it because he's using linguistics, he's using, you know, the fact that, you know, no one can prove what was in his mind when he was going there, and, you know, it wasn't just a function, a work function, and it was out in the garden, and, you know, he can get away with it, and he can use an investigation that's going to take months to let some steam come off it, and then, you know, say, yeah, you're a naughty boy, don't do that again, and you're going to be fined. But you're still going to keep your job, and you know, you're still going to be able to help out your fellow cronies, you know, like this PPE stuff. This is just because we know about it. What about all the stuff we don't know about? You know, the fact with, like, the JFK thing, assassinating a president, all that kind of stuff. And it was detailing in that documentary was quite good. It was also showing how Britain and America, and I can't remember if it was France, were involved in the Congo, in getting rid of the elect leader then, because they want to put someone else in. You think all these things are finished? You think that that the government is, and the system that we're all voting for and keeping alive and all want, is for the benefit of mankind and all of us? I know, there's just too many examples. This is just a few. You know, if you listen to my nearly 500, and not just mine, if you listen to loads of other people's, you'll see lots of examples of the failure of the system, the corruption of the system, the conspiracy of this system. I don't know, it's just, we just keep it going. I mean, I know. What more can I say? Take care, take it easy, God bless, and peace.